Yale University's Skull and Bones Secret Society.
April night.
Today, people, if you're really into secret societies, then this podcast is going to be for you. For those that don't know, Skull and Bones, it offers power, it has secrets, and the mystery of Geronimo's bones. And this is the Veracious podcast. There's a building at Yale with no windows, just thick stone walls, no eyes to see in and no eyes to see out. Inside, 15 seniors a year go in, but the world never gets to see what goes on there. They call it the tomb, and the headquarters of the most infamous secret society in America is at Yale University. Skull and Bones. Presidents, spy masters, financiers have all walked through those doors. But what if I told you the secret society doesn't just end with networking dinners and initiation rites? What if I told you the legend suggests something far darker, a stolen relic of a Native American hero, a skull said to be Geronimo's? If true, it's not just a story about bones, it's a story about power, privilege, and the lengths the rich will go to hold on, to stay in power. Founded in 1832 at Yale University, Skull and Bones is an elite secret society of senior members, often called the Order of the Brotherhood of Death, known for initiating 15 high-achieving students annually, based in a windowless New Haven building known as the Tomb. It is a reputed breeding ground for American power, boasting members like George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and John Kerry. For people that live in New Haven, you probably passed this place and really don't realize the address of where the Skull and Bones building is. You've probably seen this building before down at Yale. It's located at 64 High Street in New Haven, Connecticut. And the building has no windows. It has one door that you can enter into. And it's said to be that when the members enter into the building, that they actually go underground, and that the building is obviously just designed to give them some type of temple or some type of entrance into an underground secret society. The origins of Skull and Bones. To understand the power, mystique, we have to go back to the beginning. Skull and Bones was founded in 1832. That's a long time ago, right? 1832 at Yale University, during a period where secret societies were blossoming on college campuses and exclusive clubs for elite members. It was incorporated at the Russell Trust Association in 1856, establishing it legally and financially as a private organization. The society chose its name, emblem, and traditions deliberately: skull and crossbones, a symbol of traditional associated with mortality, secrecy, and brotherhood. The number 322, often interpreted as referencing the year 322 BC, the death of the Greek orator Demosthenes, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Demosthenes, a moment symbolic to elite theories of political control. Membership was originally limited to 15 senior men chosen each year, often drawn from powerful families of high achieving students. Membership was originally limited to 15 men chosen each year, often drawn from powerful families or high-achieving students. It remained male only until years after Yale admitted women. The people that you're going to find in the Skull and Bones Secret Society are running the world. And I do believe that there are higher levels than that, but the Skull and Bones, I think, sticks out for us, for people who are interested in secret societies, because it's actually more tangible. If you grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, and if you heard stories about it, there were rumors to be that at one point in time, a few years ago, that there were some young men standing outside of this particular building with hoods on, and it kind of faded away. The story kind of disappeared. We didn't really hear much else about it, if that was the initiation process or if this was just some guys cosplaying as Skull and Bones. But it's a very powerful society, and it's just kind of, it's not spoken about. I wonder if Yale even has like lectures on it, if they talk about it periodically, if there's even whispers about it through the college campus. Do other students know who's in Skull and Bones? Are people walking around the college campus and be like, yeah, I think John over there might be into it. He seems to be a little different recently. I'm also curious too, like when their dads or their more powerful men show up to Yale, there's kind of like this aura of mystique about them, because, you know, rumors float around and people do talk. So I love things like this, like secret societies. If you guys love this stuff, let me know in the comments below. So it says, from the earliest days, Skull and Bones cultivated an image and a legacy of elusiveness, mystique, and influence. How Skull and Bones influenced America. This is important because this is how Skull and Bones actually operates to this day. And as we even know in this year of our Lord and Savior 2025, that Skull and Bones is still very active in high parts of our government societies, our finance societies. Any place that there are power players, you're probably going to find people that are involved in Skull and Bones. The first reason Skull and Bones captured public imagination was power, not just social justice, but a political, economic, military, and intelligence power. The political leadership, and involves these guys, they call themselves bonesmen. I think that's a dope name too, to refer to yourself as a bonesman. That's pretty heavy. If you meet one of your brethren throughout the world and you say, are you a bonesman? Yeah, you'd be like, yeah, I'm a bonesman. Yeah, it's just a dope name. So several bonesmen went on to become high-ranking U.S. leaders, including William H. Taft, President and Chief Justice of the United States, the Bush family, George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush, both bonesmen before they became presidents. This is a gateway to success for kids who are already uber rich and uber successful in their life. For those who've been born into wealth, this is just like one more step. Do they need to be a part of Skull and Bones? Probably not. I mean, if your family's a billionaire and they're paying cash for you to go to Yale and you're coming to school in a Phantom and flying private jets around the world, it's just one of these things. Like, it's just an extra layer that people can participate in order to kind of push them through society or give them some special favor. But as a kid of a billionaire, do you really need any more special favor? I don't really know if you do. But this has fueled speculation that the society serves as a pipeline of elite influence from Ivy League halls to the highest levels of government. Intelligence and foreign policy. Yes, they're involved in everything. From intelligence to foreign policy, Skull and Bones has been linked to the early U.S. intelligence leadership. Members like James Jesus Angleton played key roles in founding and shaping of structures like the CIA and the counterintelligence efforts. Whether it's direct policy or coordination or informal networks of trust, former bonesmen in the intelligence positions have raised eyebrows and inspired conspiracy theories about covert influence and behind global decisions. So not only do you go to this Ivy League school that has all the power and all the wealth, now you're influencing how societies run, how people operate, maybe what people eat, what people can watch. The level of power, I guess, that man desires knows no bounds. Like, there's no ending to the level of power that men desire. Billionaire kid needs something else to feel a part of, so I become a bonesman. They also control Wall Street and finance. Bonesmen also appear throughout the top financial institutions, from J.P. Morgan to investing banking to the regulatory leadership. They overlap bones between members and Wall Street elites. It is said that many have described secret society as not as a conspiracy, but as an informal power network that can open doors across government and finance. And I want you to listen closely to me. There's no confirmed evidence that Skull and Bones controls governments or economic markets, but if it's involving power and money, we know that they have some level of influence and control. What does exist is an unusually high number of powerful alumni, and that's enough to fuel questions about how influence spreads behind closed doors. I was often told that if you want to make a good business deal, then you need to play golf, right? Most business deals are conducted and completed on the golf course. The initiation of multi-billion-dollar deals often takes place in these exclusive clubs that only the uber rich already have access to, and a particular persuasion of race or ethnicity needs to be held in order to even get into these golf clubs, these country clubs and things of that nature. There's another real dark part about the Skull and Bones that has always kind of haunted them, and it's the Geronimo. It's the thought that they have Geronimo, a Native American's skull and bones, actually inside of that building. Now we get to one of the most controversial and haunting legends about Skull and Bones, Geronimo's bones. For those that don't know, who was Geronimo? Geronimo was a respected Apache leader who fought the U.S. forces in the late 1800s in defense of the people and his land. After years of resistance, he surrendered in 1886 and lived out his final years as a prisoner of war, dying in 1909 at Fort Sill in Oklahoma. This is where it gets a little creepy and a little macabre, but this is what piques my interest as well. There was a rumor to be a grave robbery. The story goes like this. During World War I, some members of Skull and Bones, reportedly including Prescott Bush, grandfather of President George W. Bush, were stationed at Fort Sill as Army volunteers. According to a 1918 letter discovered decades later, a bonesman wrote that the skull of the worthy Geronimo the Terrible is now safe in the tomb, together with its well-worn femurs, bit, and saddle horn. The letter is only a contemporary documentation suggesting bonesmen believe that Geronimo's remains had some type of power to them, that historians argue whether they actually found his grave or just another unmarked burial. So they're trying to say that they may not know necessarily if these are his skull and bones, but I'm gonna go with that. And I'm curious too as to what power do they think these skull and bones had? What representation does it stake for the bonesman? Why his particular bones? Is it because he was a powerful Apache leader? Because he was a fiery warrior that really fought tooth and nail to protect his people? But Yale came under fire in 2009. 20 descendants of Geronimo filed a federal lawsuit seeking the return of their ancestors' remains, naming Skull and Bones, Yale, and the United States government among defending them. Basically, the family of the great Apache leader had to sue Yale and the United States in order to try and retrieve his bones, which is crazy. The fact that America, it's not really crazy because we know how America is and how dark America is. So I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked that they would want to maintain this man's skull and bones. The suit claimed if the Skull and Bones did possess the skull, it violated the Native American Graves Protection and Reparation Act. Even if the society didn't have it, any remains must be accounted for and returned to Geronimo's homeland. In 2010, a judge dismissed the case. Are you shocked? Are you shocked that a judge dismissed the case on the merits of whether or not the remains existed, but on the legal technicalities about sovereign immunity and timing of the relative law's scope? Basically, Yale had a lot of money. They got a lot of power. So does the U.S. government. The family probably didn't stand a chance to retrieve his bones. And if they gave back his skull and bones back to the family, was it really the ones that they truly possessed? Or did they just give him some type of skull and bones and say, here, this is it? I just don't see Yale bowing down to any type of lawsuit. Has Yale ever lost a lawsuit? Have they ever lost? I mean, I'd be curious to find out because they're so powerful. They got billions of dollars in endowment funds. But why this matters, at its core, the story isn't just about bones. It's about power and privilege. Lives and sacred remains allegedly taken without consent. A society shielded by secrecy and elite status. A legal system that sidestepped the heart of the claim. They just ducked accountability. They ducked accountability through this process. And they probably still have this man's skull and bones in there. And they've probably done rituals with it. They probably prayed to it. Maybe some, need to say maybe possibly some satanic things have taken place inside of there because I couldn't see any real benefit. I'd be curious for all my people who maybe practice voodoo or other type of religious practices that require bones of human beings or of animals and things of that nature. What's the purpose? What power do they give you? Because when the soul departs from the body, isn't that really the true power itself, the soul, and not the actual physical elements that are left? I'd be curious if you know anybody who's practicing in the macabre arts or some type of practices of spirituality that require those. I'd love to hear from you or drop a link to somebody's page that I can follow on social media. But whether the legend is fully true, partially true, or a myth, it reveals how myths are constructed around powerful institutions. Here, we're going to get into the secrecy and symbolism and the rituals of the skull and bones. Hopefully you're still with me. If you are still with me, drop a thumbs up, share my video, share this podcast with someone else who is into secret societies. Skull and Bones thrives not because of global domination, but because of secrecy, rituals, and symbolism. Bones meetings reportedly include ceremonial elements, philosophical discussions, sharing personal biographies, and sessions where members share intimacies. What kind of intimacies are they sharing? What are these guys doing down there? Any former Skull and Bones member willing to jump on the podcast with me so we can interview you or give me some insight? Any Yale historians? I would love to talk to you to get a better idea of what's going on down there. Any information that you have. If you know of somebody who is a historian here in New Haven, drop their information down below. I would love to reach out to them and maybe we can set up a podcast to kind of dissect their brain to give us a little bit more meat and potatoes. So the rites that create bonds of loyalty and exclusivity that extend long after college years. The psychology of a power of a secret society. Secret Secrecy creates mystery, speculation, fear, and attraction. People tend to fill the gaps with knowledge with their worst assumptions, especially when power and influence are involved. Are there any good secrets in this world? Outside of we're going to surprise you for your birthday, or hey, I bought you a new car, but I don't want to tell you until your birthday arrives. Are there any really good secrets here in America that America's holding on to? I'd be curious, because if you have to have someone's skull and bones actually in your secret society, I don't know what good can come of that besides power and control. So now here we jump into the legacy of just a network. So what is the Skull and Bones today? Contrary to the dramatic conspiracy theories, there's no verified evidence that Skull and Bones runs the world. I'm going to disagree. I believe that they do run parts of the world. Now, do they run the entire world? No. I would love to possibly break down the Illuminati. If you guys are interested in that, we can have a dialogue about that. That's another secret society that I think might be over the Skull and Bones, or maybe Skull and Bones is just kind of like an entryway into the bigger platform. But I would love to dive into that and have a conversation too. If you're interested in me doing one on that, please drop down Illuminati in the comment section. So there's evidence that the members often rise to powerful positions. Some scholars describe Skull and Bones less as a secret cabal or more like an elite networking institution, a place connections made in youth can translate into opportunities throughout life. So as we get ready to close out our piece here about the Skull and Bones, I hope you found this podcast informational. And if you have more information or things that I don't know or didn't include in this podcast, please drop them in the comments, or you're welcome to DM me as well, because I'm always trying to gather more knowledge. The legend of Geronimo's bones, whether true, exaggerated, or partially accidental, speaks to something deeper. Who controls history? That's what we need to figure out. We know who controls history. He who has the power and the might controls history. He who writes the books controls history. He who destroys books controls history. Who gets to define legacy? The person in power often gets to define legacy. And whose voices are silenced in the process? Ask yourself that question. Whose voices are silenced in this process of these secret societies and men holding power? Secret societies don't only reveal the truths about their members, they reveal truths about the societies, the fear of transparency. If this story made you think differently about elite institutions, drop a comment down below. If you think that Geronimo's Bones story deserves more investigation, say truth over secrecy. Put that in the comments. Put down in the comments truth over secrecy, and we'll go even deeper in this process to discover what we can about the Skull and Bones. And share this episode because history should be known and not buried. I really appreciate you guys staying with me. Thank you for all the support. This has been a fun one. Yale University Secret Society of Skull and Bones. This has been your boy Anwar at the Veracious Podcast. And again, the overwhelming support I received through all my platforms. I'm so grateful and so thankful for you all. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. Peace.